1 o'clock on Saturday, the 27th of March. So that means it's Instagram live time from This Is Knit. I am back after a little break last week because myself and Jenny were doing a virtual trade show here last week. But I'm delighted to be back and chatting with you and taking your questions and going through a few new bits and pieces that have come into the shop since we last chatted. So welcome if you're joining us. Thanks, to see some familiar faces there. If you're watching back, you may not be able to see the comments and the waves and the things that come up, so I'm sorry about that. I will try and read out anything that comes up that we start to talk about during the next hour. I hope you're all having a good time wherever you are, more than likely at home, as things are still that way. But we are going to entertain you, I hope, while you are knitting away or crocheting away, sipping on a cup of tea or whatever takes your fancy. Okay, so we've got a good few people here. Big waves back to you all. A few things to talk about. I'm going to try and do some demonstration, like a product demonstration, show you some stuff today on a little top-down thing. So that stay tuned for that. Things that you might be curious about are the new Chowgu short combo packs, which I recently put to good use for some little cuffs here on this sweater. So I am now in love and want to share that love with you. So we'll be doing that. I want to quickly, if you've received the newsletter, you will know that we have pre-orders open for 52 weeks of shawls from Lane, and that is going to be shipping towards the end of next month. So do get your orders in if you want to grab a copy of that. It's going to be amazing. I have a finished object to show you, so I will show you that. It's a Cocoa Knits sweater called Belle, and I knit it in Townhouse Yarns Tara 4-ply in the single malt colour. It is the most unusual shape, the oddest thing to put together. Fairly straightforward to knit if you've got a bit of experience under your belt. Oh, I love it. Love it. Look at that. So it's a sort of poncho wrappy, drapey biasy thing. So I can tell you a little bit more about that if you like. And we have some new products and we have some great questions from a few of you as well. So I think I'll start with a couple of the questions because it's nice to do that back and forth. Hello Nebraska. That's the cereal spinners in Nebraska. Hello from Dublin. So shout out where you're from and we can give you a wave too. But first question for today is from Liv's Fads. How are you? Hope you're here or watching back. So a question for this week's live, she says, I am making a baby size confetti pullover. I'll show you what we're talking about. Hello from Italy. Hello Italy and Luxembourg. You're very welcome along. We're about to talk about yarn options for this pattern, which is the Confetti TIK pullover by Nomad Stitches. Very pretty. Lots of slip stitches and fun stuff going on there. And hi Caroline, how are you doing? Caroline's asking about putting denim color. What color would I put with denim blue for a real pop of color? I will get to some other questions at the end if we have time, but I'm going to go for the pre-submitted ones first, Caroline, but do keep that in reserve for me if you don't mind, and you can remind me at the end and I can do that too. Okay, so Liv's Fads, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your real name, but you were already looking at Kremke Yarns Morning Salutation, and you had said you were going to go for gold, brass and olive, which are beautiful shades together. Gold, brass and olive, but we needed a fourth color to go in there. So I agree, the chocolate you were saying does look quite purple. It does, but it works well. I like that in there. And in real life it does have that aubergine shade to it. And then we were talking about khaki as well. So khaki is that bit brighter. You might almost put it in between the brass and the olive instead, as of course it goes on the floor. 1 second. Oops. So possibly that could work very well as your combinations. I did pick up, this is shade 10. That would be a really nice pop of color. And the sort of more bright blue, which is shade 18, just to show you how that looks there. So I hope seeing them together has given you a better idea for your project plans. Lots of hearts. We won't do a vote on that one, but you can see what the options are from your base 3 colours that you told us about. So thanks a million for sending that on, and I hope that's helpful for other people. Morning Salutation is a vegan yarn. It is lyocell and cotton. So they market it as a vegan yarn. I think it's sort of like sun salute, like a yoga term is why it's named that. Jackie has been knitting with this recently for her new granddaughter to be, who's due next month, and living in California. So that's a really nice option for babies too. So thanks again for that question. Living in Norway, I think. Ooh, you're testing my flags. So hello, Debbie. You're from Australia and living in Norway, I think, and my geography teacher is probably crying at the moment. So great to see people coming from all over. We've had a busy morning here. We had a first ever Zoom workshop, kind of run through the shop with Alex Bird, and it all went brilliantly with 30 amazing students that picked it up fantastically well. And of course, that's down to Alex being a super teacher as well. So we hope to offer a little bit more of those over the coming months and into, well, maybe the autumn. We were hoping that we might have a few more in person, but let's see how we get on. Okay, straight to another question. So Kigo 393, you were wondering about colour options. We were promoting the 52 weeks of shawls pre-order, and you saw this shawl in the middle, which I don't have the details of just yet, but you just really liked. That's not Norway. Sugar, sorry. Okay, somebody else do the flags. So you were just looking for something that was a colour like that. So that looks to me like it's it has mohair in it, or it's 2 strands held together. So I think that holding a 4-ply together with, yeah, here we are. Here's one I prepared earlier. I think it's England. Oh, sugar. Okay, this will make no sense to the people watching back, but they are all slagging me mightily in the comments because I didn't know the English flag. So yeah, will I start again? Like, go back off and come on. Right, back to the yarn. I know my yarn, okay? So there was this colour here, which is from Camarose Midnight Sol, which is an alpaca cotton. And, oh, I know there's something else. Oh, tencel, a baby alpaca tencel and cotton. So this is shade 9520 Putter, and I think that held together with the lovely baby pink 4-ply will give the result that you were looking for there. But you did ask to recommend a lime green and a cream to go with it, so it does also come in lime. And then there's sort of a biscuity shade if you want it, which is 9506, or the more true cream, which is 9500. So those, look at that spring color combination. It's absolutely beautiful. And you could do something like get just a base cream 4-ply and hold it keep that yarn consistent and hold it together and transition almost marl from one to the other, and that would be absolutely beautiful. So that's just all out of a little bit of inspiration from a picture that we shared earlier on this week. But it came out of this, and obviously this pattern is going to be available towards the end of April when 52 Weeks of Shawls is published. Great. Oh, fantastic, Hugo. Glad it helped. So that's great. I can put that one away. What do we do now? Okay, I've done 2 questions, so I'm going to show you something new. A lino. Let's see. So this came in during last week. It might have been the week before because we've had a gap, but so it's another new yarn from BC Garn. We're going a bit crazy now with our BC Garn options, but they've just got so many lovely things, and you guys seem to really want to have a few more summer yarn options, which is lovely. The 100% linen has been going down very well, but this, just in case, kind of like I was, I'm just gonna take that away from the spotlight up there. I would have shied away from using 100% linen in the past because it's just, there's no give in it. So it's very different to use than a stretchy kind of bouncy fleecy yarn. Okay, so a good few years back we did a knit along for a Jimmy Knits design called Chicane, and it used a 50% cotton, 50% linen yarn, and it was from Juniper Moon fibres. So this basically is the same, more or less the same yarn. Actually, I think it's a little bit neater spun. It's not as loosely spun as that was. We have about, there's 10 or 12 colours I think I got. But as you can see, the fibres, 50% linen and 50% cotton, take up the dye differently. So you get this really nice marled effect in there. These are €5.50 per ball, and they are 125 meters per 50 grams. So if you're like me, I would happily knit with linen now, but if you wanted to just dive in with a little bit of something that's got a bit more softness in it, a bit more flexibility with the cotton, then try the Alino. I would recommend it. And any of the patterns that we've shown you in linen, in the 100% linen, would be suitable in this. And I have another shop sample planned, but you'll have to stay tuned for that because nobody's even cast it on yet. So that's new in Happy Days. I can go there. Let's see. We've got any other questions happening here. So people like lime and pink. They were nice. At least still in Europe. Still slagging me off. Hello. Just do not take any geographic advice from me. Great. Okay. Let's see what's next. So we have A. O'Regan 27. And she is saying, I'm going to presume she's a she, sorry, maybe Anne. You are new to blocking and you're wondering, are you supposed to pin out a swatch while it's drying or just let it be? Very good question. The answer from it's always it depends, isn't it? But what I would do is treat the swatch in the same way as you're going to treat the finished item. So if it is a lace swatch for a shawl, which I'm not really sure why you do that, because you could just stretch it to the size that you want it to be anyway. Or okay, for a sweater that has a lace panel in it, or something with cables and texture and stuff like that. More importantly, for a garment, if you intend to wet block and pin that garment at the end to shape, then do that with your swatch. Things like ribbed patterns with moss stitch and all that sort of stuff. Generally, your pattern will tell you to kind of stretch it slightly just to open it up, but don't go overboard. There is a tendency, again, I did this, the first time you block a full garment, to kind of miss the instruction where it says pin it out to the measurements in the schematic given, and you just sort of pin it out until it looks neat. And I ended up with a cardigan that was down to my knees that first time. So definitely pay attention to the measurements in your pattern. But for your swatch, the very best patterns will give you an indication on what to do with the swatch. If they don't, read ahead to what they say to do with the finished garment. So that might be just steam block it, or that might be lay a wet towel over it, and they'll talk to you about pins and all that sort of stuff. So just treat your swatch the same way that you're going to block the finished item. I hope that helps. On blocking tools, we do have the new Walcott wires here. So if you are blocking particularly shawls, I think they'd be really useful for, but they are for everything. If you don't want to go using individual pins, these guys come with 4 long wires, 4 170 centimeter long wires, 3 100 centimeter wires, and 30 T-pins, and all the instructions that you need in a very pretty little pouch, which I quite like. So give them a go. They do say in the instructions, and I think I'm very, very pleased that I read this beforehand, is the wires will spring open when you, here, I'll open this up actually. When you open it up, they come with these lovely little, almost paper twists around them. So they are just going to spring right out straight when you open that up. So just be very careful that you're holding them away from your face when you do that. They come with all of those wires, your full instructions inside, and your T-pins too. So Yes, I agree. The coconuts blocking kit is fantastic. They come with blocking boards and everything like that. I think when you have a look at the product pictures for these, you'll see for really curvy line shawls and things like that, they are just going to be super, super handy. Nobody wants to go along pinning every individual bit of point of a shawl. Do you have to block a shawl, for an example, every time you wash it? Not necessarily. They tend to kind of remember the shape that you've put them into, or I find that they do. I wouldn't be washing my shawls very often afterwards unless they've kind of gotten a stain. Most knitwear, I would just hang out to air if it just felt like it needed a bit of freshening up. But you know, you might get away with 1 or 2 washes before you might want to reblock it. It's not necessarily going to be exactly blocking fresh, but lay it flat. You don't necessarily have to go out and pin everything else. It's very much dependent on the yarns and the fabrics and all of that. So no one answer. I made a jumper. I'm wondering, should you block all the pieces and put them together, or should you put it together and block? Best advice is to block all the pieces individually. It'll be easier to do that to the dimensions specified in your pattern, and it'll also make sewing up that jumper infinitely easier, like so much easier, because you're not going to get that curl, particularly if it's stockinette. Look at my curly neckline, that's part of that design. But you'll get your pieces to be nice and flat, and it'll be so much easier to sew up after that. Yeah, well, you got loads of questions today. This is great. I have a question about a summer jumper. Never made one before. Sewing elastic thread across the top bridge. Okay. Cotton and linen yarns tend to be quite inelastic in themselves. So something that's a fleecy fibre has a natural bounce and elasticity. So if it's quite a heavy cotton or quite a texture thing, I think they're probably asking you to put in that elastic to give that neckline some more bounce and structure. Essentially, so because otherwise it might just kind of stretch out and it won't bounce back by itself. So I think that's why your pattern for a summer sweater is probably in a plant fibre yarn, and they're suggesting putting that elastic in there. Do we have anything to use? I don't have any knitting in elastic. I know Clover do some of it. You might be able to find, if you Google Clover knitting in elastic, then hopefully somebody has some out there. Okay, Carmen, are you still there? Carmen, we have a question about Walcott wires. Are they generally flexible? You have some that are a bit hard and you were considering buying these instead. I haven't opened them up yet. I'm a bit scared to do it live because of that bounce back thing. But Carmen might be able to tell you. So Carmen is from A Yarn Story, and Walcott Yarns and Walcott Wires, there you go, is one of her sister brands. So she says, yes, they are generally flexible. I have to give these a go. I just wanted to let you know all about them first, but I'm definitely going to grab a set for myself the next time I make a shawl. Okay, so yes, they're flexible. Go for it. I want to move on to one of the other, oh, you're all helping each other out. It's great. So I want to move on to one of the other pre-submitted questions, if that's okay. So Anne Tiernan is saying, she wants to know, is the Cocoa Knits method difficult to follow? Okay. No. And again, it all depends on your level of experience, your level of, I suppose, willingness to try something new. I mean, you wouldn't be asking the question if you weren't considering it, but it's if you get the Coconut Sweater Workshop book, it's explained really well. I mean, they break it down in a very straightforward way. You do need to be willing to kind of write out your numbers and do a little bit of your own kind of plotting and planning, but it's well worth it. Like the way Coconut's designs sit, they're so well thought out, you know, so they're really very flattering. This is a Coconut's design. It's not the Coconut's method, but it is one of Julie's designs, and I completely recommend it. So it's not going to be what you know, and there are quite specific things about bind offs and the types of increases and things like that, but they are explained so well, and it's great to learn something new, so I would definitely recommend that. Give it a go. Now, Ryan Koenig was wondering, do we have any recommendations on how to stop sore thumbs? So it's going to, If there's a knitting injury, I've had it, right? So I guess what you mean is that you probably had a little bit of pain down here from how you're holding up your needles. I found the Nipro Cubics needles to be quite helpful for that, because it's coming probably from the level at which you're kind of grasping the needles. And if you can imagine, I don't have a set here, but a circular needle like that, it'll tend to be, you feel like you need to kind of keep it under control quite a lot. The cubics needles are literally, they have 4 sides to them, right? So they tend to just sit in your hand a little bit flatter and easier, and you do less gripping of them. And that I found really, really helped. So the square needles, we can order them in for you. We don't tend to carry a whole lot. We can order in a whole set for you as well if you wanted to get a whole set. So Ryan, if you want to let me know, we can sort that. You can try one, see how you get on with it. Sometimes even just using wooden needles with a little bit more grip as a intermediate point might be that. I'm not sure if you're using metal or what size of needles either. Sometimes just changing up the type of project that you're working on to give your thumb a bit of a break. If you're knitting quite tightly on smaller needles, go knit a chunky hat or something to give yourself a break. Or rest, not even or rest. I mean, your first step should be rest it. Let whatever is aggravated ease and go away, and then try some of the new things to hopefully it won't come back after that. But they would be my top tips for pain in there. And Heliana is saying that bamboo or wooden needles helps too. Enid knits, love what you're wearing. What is it, please? Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about this because we've sort of chatted about cocoa knits just there as well. So it is a cocoa knits design called Belle, Belle. Hang on, so I give you the, quite sure I had a printout here. Yeah, here we go. So Belle by Cocoa Knits. Now it is designed for 100% linen yarn. I did not do it in 100% linen. I did it in Tara 4-ply from Townhouse Yarns in the single malt colour. This is the second size. The sizing on it is very much, when you read through kind of notes of other people's projects and stuff, it's just kind of down to how you want it to drape. The larger sizes, like if people have done kind of tunic-y lengths, there is a rib here. And if you had it as looser, it would come down and you could wear it more as a sort of tunic-y dress. They recommend you can knit it in any kind of DK or anything at a DK tension. So this is a 4-ply that I've knitted a DK tension. Not even a DK tension, sorry. It's knit on 5.5mm needles, so sort of flew up. I think they say knit it up to DK so that it'll drape. That's what I mean. It is a giant loop. It's a giant loop with strategic holes in it in strategic places. And it's just, I will put up a picture of it laid flat afterwards so you can see. It is like mind-boggling. You're going, that doesn't look right. I sent a picture of it to Aisling and she said, it looks like you like took a sewing pattern and assembled the bits in the wrong places. But it's brilliant. So really mindless television knitting, because for the longest time you were just making this giant knit tube. You do a provisional cast on, so you'd want to maybe be comfortable enough with that. Provisional cast on, knit your giant tube, stick some ribs and cuffs on in strategic places, and you get this lovely biasy drapey top. So you might be able to tell I love it. I love it. And I think I'd make another one, which is the best compliment that you could give to a knitting pattern. And I might go for the linen or the Alino for the next one. People were asking, there was another question, hang on. What? This leads really nicely into it. Katie Love Greenfield was saying, what are my favourite needles to use when knitting socks or a small sleeve or something like that? And I had not gone down the short circular route before this project. I would always have magic looped. And because it was a giant big tube of knitted stuff and then I had to put these little cuffs on here, the magic loop was just sort of driving me a little crazy. So I said, right, it's time. Let's give these circulars a go. And it was all very, what's the word for coincidental? Like there was a happy coincidence because we got the short combo sets into the shop for those. So I'm going to do a little tap down and show you the short combo sets so you can understand what they're all about. And this is my recommendation for that. Let's see if I can turn you around. Not very elegantly. Hello, ring light and mess. Right. Now, let's pop these down here. Let's see. Okay. So, we have carried, let's see, the knit red short circular needles for a little while now, okay? So this is how they come. They are 23 centimetre in length from tip to tip. Kismet, thank you. Short circulars are magic. So I could definitely have used those for these sleeves here, okay? As you can see, it just depends on how you knit. As to whether you're going to find them kind of comfortable or whether they suit you. So 23 centimetres, 9 inches in length. And that is what I would have needed for these quite tight, thin cuffs. Okay, so they are 1 by 1 rib and I could happily have used those. The short combo sets give you a little bit more flexibility, if you'll excuse the pun on that. They give you flexibility and options for items that are a little bit wider in circumference. So let's say the tops of your sleeves, or if you are working on like baby knits and things like that, where you don't want a 40 centimetre, but you don't necessarily want to go all the way down to here. Okay, so the short combo sets, the blue and the red is just the ones that are 3.5 millimeters or higher come with these blue cables here, which are called the X Flex cables. And you can see I can do lots of this with them and they just bounce right back. They don't misbehave, okay? So it means you can get right in tight with them and there's no bothers there at all. The options, they also come with, hang on, I'll show you the two different lengths of cables first. So, slightly shorter and a slightly longer cable. I think it's 5 and 6 inches. And then you have these 2-inch tips and the 3-inch tips. Okay, so you get a full, like 2 and 2 in there, 2 cables and 2 tightening things. So where they come into their own is if you attach the 2 short circulars or 2 short tips to the shorter cable, then you would get a 23 centimetre length. If you adjust, you can get up to, adding obviously longer tips onto the longer cable, you get up to 31 centimetres around. But what you can do as well is, and this is where it comes down to customizing to the style of your knitting. Now, you can do 1 long and 1 short. So, and that is what I did. Yeah. So then I can actually, because the way I hold my yarn and knit is like this, and I can sit this into my hand in the normal way, but still have quite a short, flexible circular needle. So it wasn't quite 23 centimeters, but it meant that I could get in there and knit in my normal style. Okay, so they are, I think, yeah, just the fact that you can do, sorry, there's quite a few shadows and everything. It's an improvement on these guys. Obviously, once you have a few of these cables as well, you can do something like, if anybody remembers the Addy, what were they called? Addy trios? Yeah. Where you can make even short circular DPNs, like the sets where you can go around. So it gives you an awful lot of options for the style, the type, the way you want to knit your own bits and pieces. So quite enjoying those. The red, the sizes 3.25 and smaller come with the not the normal, but the red lace cable, but the mini version and the mini connectors. So super flexible as well. Okay, stocking wonders, all that. So that is those guys, a little bit more about them. I didn't do the tightening bit, but yes, they have the tightening cable. Oops, this is, sorry, first time doing live demonstrations, but in case anybody's wondering about how they go together, you pop that in there, and this is just, gives you a bit of grip, and you can twist and make them extra tight. Okay, so all the options, and we are getting the full short combo packs sets are coming in hopefully early next week as well. Now, have I anything else while we have a camera down that I want to show you? No, I think that's it. Okay, bring you back up. Turn you around. Yeah. Okay, cool. Hope that helped. Whew. Live demos, really flying by the seat of my pants here. Okay, if there are two different sizes on each end, does not affect the gauge. So they're not two different sizes, they're the same diameter, but they're two different lengths. But you can, if you wanted to go and make that sort of mixed set of 3 flexible DPNs, you could put the size that you want on the right hand side, the one that you're going to be knitting, and then another size that's just a tiny bit smaller on the others, because your knit stitches, or any of your knit or your purl stitches, the size is determined by the needle that you wrap the yarn around. Okay, so if you're in a pinch sometimes and you don't have the right kind of tips on your circular needles, your normal circulars, you can definitely do that as well. So just make sure you have the correct needle in your right hand, and that is going to make you the right tensioned fabric. Okay, cool. Any alpaca yarns in the shop? A few, yes. So this is for Woolly Lover. You're looking for the best ones. You love them for hats and cowls to stay warm. Absolutely, can't beat the alpaca. It's super warm. All right, so we have a few. I'll start with the sort of slightly thinner ones. We have Alpaquina from Katia, which is marketed as a sock yarn, but is absolutely perfect for knitting hats and garments, and particularly if you wanted wrist warmers and stuff, because it's got that little bit of nylon in them. They wear a little bit better. But absolutely no reason you couldn't make beautiful hats and accessories out of those. We have a blend of baby alpaca and merino wool, which is Walcott Yarns Opus. Love this yarn. It is like, it feels like cashmere. It's just fantastic. Cool. Nancy's recommending Alpaquina as well. She was tried that out recently. So that is Walcott Yarns Opus, is the next one. That's a sport weight yarn. The first one was a 4-ply. Then we have, Chunky. We have Rico Alpaca Blend Chunky, which is a blend again. So it's 50% acrylic, 20% wool, and 20% alpaca. But for larger items, we find that kind of little bit of lightweight acrylic in it just means that it's not going to drag and fall. But if you're thinking about accessories, it also work really well. And then Schneffnug from Camarose, which is a nice reason to show you a new knitted sample that we have. So this is alpaca, 55% alpaca, 35% cotton, and 10% merino wool. So that is absolutely stunning. And Joy, who we were saying, is a bit out of season, but she did just finish. Bring this one in from the side. A design by Heidi Kirameyer in the Sneffnug, which means snowflake. My mannequin stops rocking there. Hello. So it's a beautiful turtleneck, and you can kind of see how that all knits up very, very prettily. So you did give me information on that, Joy, if you're there. It is, I might have thrown the page away. Hold on. Anyway, new shop sample, gorgeous jewel tone colors, and I will find the rest of the information on that. I think she said she used 9 balls for this, but you've got the lovely cable goes all the way up the front. It's through here on the arm as well, all the way down to the cuffs. I think it's on the back. It is. And you've got that gorgeous turtleneck finish. So she is well prepared for next winter, although it was like 5 degrees this morning, so it would work too. So that is designed by Heidi Kirameyer, and remind me the next time not to throw my top page away when I'm talking about things. Oh no, wait, it's here. It is called Winding Down by Heidi Kirameyer. Joy made the size M1 and used 9 skeins. Happy days. Righty, next question. Lovely. Okay, so I hope that helped, Woolly Lover, for the alpaca recommendations. I think that was all I had. Now let's talk glitter. Sorry, I'm going to have to put Winding Down away. I'm going to wind you down. Glitter. Okay, Creative Serendipity Anna, are you here? Hello. Can I show you lighter colours of Sneffnug? I can. That was one of them there. And one. Hold up. Oops. Just because it's nearby. That is the cream 7811 and Lise Poudre, which is 7966. Great. How many meters of yarn is 110 meters. So we using, I think 5mm. Yeah, they say between 4 and 6mm needles on that one. So, okay. Hi, Anna. Hi. Let's do you. So you wanted to make something with the Stellaris glitter yarn, and you had planned to make, I'll show the design, this guy here. Can you tell it's a style I like? I love this. Right, so that is the Robin Sweater by Suzanne Muller, and you're making me want one too, Anna. But you wanted to mix it with Heverdag Sult and Stellaris. Lovely. So, sorry, I get distracted because there's other comments happening, but you're all chatting amongst yourselves, that's fine. So, you were wondering about what would work in that, and would you combine, you're asking, would we combine similar colors or mix a lighter and a darker? So what I want to do is, I will talk sort of a little bit more generally about it, but this is a screenshot here from a tin can knits tutorial. Now it's a tutorial that relates to the Love Note sweater and choosing yarn combinations for that. So that they're talking about using a mohair carry along yarn, and we're talking about using a glitter. So, but I think that a lot of the principles and what they talk about in the examples will still have an impact in this decision. So I will show you one or two options that I pulled off. There's Yarnbirds. Yarnbirds has a yarn shop on wheels that goes around to the States. That's as much as I know. But you have that sample on your truck. It really does look lovely. I would do that. Okay, so I just want to show you, I picked two colors of Heverdag Sult as an indication. So this is Lavendel, which is color 18. And I think it would work quite well with that Stellaris right there. So this is a lighter Stellaris, and I think you get that just glowing through, but that this color would be more dominant and you'd have that little bit of sparkle happening. So that's sort of a peachy toned, I'll give you the color. It's color number 132 in Stellaris. But you could, of course, complement it like that with these guys here. It's hard when people ask questions. I have no idea what your color palette is. So if you're asking for recommendations next week, pop in your kind of preferred colors and I'll do that too. But I've got a more neutral one to show you too. And this is color 187. So you could go with that as well. I would absolutely love to see this design in a bit of sparkle, definitely. And then we had this guy here, which is Sand 03. So if you're wanting to go more neutral, a little bit more in line with what's there in the pattern, the original sample. And then I have 167, which is a stone gold. And although that's darker, I have my own Love Note uses an undertone of grey through it, so it's a dark Smoke and Mirrors, and my fade street is Lady Melisandre, so it's like purpley. But I just love the smoky grey underneath it. I think it works really well, and that's sort of something that will go under most colours kind of pretty well, I would be confident. But you could also go super kind of bright white silver sparkles, and that is colour 101. Pink is perfect. See, I had the right idea all along. So I hope that works for you. If for whatever reason it looks like we've got a good enough selection of the that shade number, hang on, Lavendel, yeah, 18, it looks like we have a good amount of that. But if for some reason we don't have enough, just let me know and I'll get it in for you. Okay, so that is that, but definitely check out, and I will send you afterwards the link to the Tin Can Knits tutorial, because it's super comprehensive and they give loads of examples and really nice advice about how to pair different yarns when stranding. And also Aisling was telling me about the Stephen West lazy swatch trick, which is, I mean, you have to have the yarn with you is the thing, but where instead of knitting up a swatch to see how the two are going to go together, you take a bit of cardboard or a ruler and you just wrap the two strands together a good few times, and then wrap in something else and wrap in something else, and you get an overall impression of how they're going to behave together. So I think that could work very well if you had a similar color at home and you want to kind of see how they behave. So water time. Hang on. Oh. Oh. I'm looking forward to when this can be a two-way conversation. Okay, great. I'm glad that helped, Anna. You're very welcome. Cool. Next. More samples. I will send that on. Okay, it's a really simple one. Hi, if Suzanne. Yeah, I will get that link shared out. I think we could probably put it in the link in bio if Sarah is watching as well. I'll try and get that arranged for everybody else as well after this. Yeah, it's going to be helpful for anybody planning a project. Suzanne Linfield, hi, how are you? Suzanne was wondering if we can show her the newer worsted shade in chalk and plum, which we can. I've also done it. I picked up a couple of other shades because I think reference is so important. So I can hold you up chalk and plum by itself, but I want to put it next to a few other shades so you can kind of tell a little bit better what it is all about and how it behaves next to other colors here. So I think we have Cafe Flamingo, then Chalk and Plum, then Cerebellum, and Bare Necessities. So, but your Chalk and Plum is in here. So it can be difficult sometimes to tell what things look like on the website. I'm always very happy to bring it out and to kind of toss it around in a bit of different light for you and see what you think. So you were worsted right there, Chalk and Plum. That was easy. Thank you. The colour work has, so the Zoom workshop. Hi Jenny, and whoever else was taking part in the workshop today. There's been lots of great reviews about it, and I thought Alex did a brilliant job. So thanks for the great feedback. Thank you. And what have we got? Frida Pecht was the last pre-submitted question, and she wanted to know if I could show off a couple of the shop sample shawls that we have by Melanie Berg. Now, I think you were saying you can hardly remember them, and it has been a long time since people have been allowed through the doors here, which is not looking like it's going to change anytime soon. But so when I went looking around, I think we had a couple of those shawls. They might have been on loan from some people because the only two that I could find or get access to are the same design. So we had Jackie's one. This is Winter on My Mind. And that was made in the fibre company Meadow. It is so pretty, really, really pretty. And it is it's also super big because fibre company Meadow yarn goes a million miles. So that's gorgeous. And then Maureen very kindly left me her Yarn Tellier cashmere lace version of the same design. Look at that. Just so beautiful. Oh, it smells like Maureen. It's got her perfume on. It's beautiful. So that is that design there. And a lot of Melanie's shawls are a bit like this, where they start off really soothing and easy. Throw in a bit of stripes or colour work, and then I've got something a little bit more challenging at the end and more fun. So you're never going to get bored. Never going to get bored with it. So I love that. We'll have to throw up a few more Melanie designs. Maybe come into the winter when we're planning a few more shawls and stuff like that. But there you go. That's what I had to hand. And if I find any more, I can show you again next week. Okay. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to talk to you about. I don't know now. Oh yeah. Here we go. Meow. I wanted to show you these. They came in week before last, or definitely the week. Could you wrap it around the neck? I'll wrap it around my neck. I'm just gonna show you these. Oh, the smell. All about the smells. I wish we had smell-o-vision. So the lavender eye pillows, these were special little treats. So not exactly knitting related, but for all of us that we need to treat ourselves to a little bit of relaxation. We can't get to a spa or do anything like that. So these are lavender eye pillows from 29 Bride Street. The motif is the same as in our project bags, that our custom project bags that Liz has designed for us. So it is the slip stitch cable design that's featured in Cranra, which is a design by Emer Early Plays with Fibre, and they are made from 100% Irish linen. They are hand printed in this gold foil and hand finished, and they are filled with lavender that is grown in Carlow and wheat that is grown in Kilkenny. So 100% Irish made and everything sourced here. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of the size and the beauty of those, which is far better done that way than with like a little project listing on the website. So I'm going to take one of those home today. Yeah, it's mine now. I've molded it. So that was one of the other new designs or new products that just come in the last little while. So we have a bit of time. And if anybody wants to ask any other questions, I can go back over anything else that I have covered earlier on. But I think that was everything that I had on my pre-prepared list. And anytime I ask this, silence, crickets. So, read. Yes, please. Okay, Aisling has one of the lavender eye pillows and her kids keep borrowing it, so I might have to bring 2 home then. Fair enough. They are lovely, and the whole shop smells of lavender now, which is absolutely lovely. Somebody wanted the winter on my mind. Yep, sorry. So I can throw this around me. This is Maureen's one. It would come around like that so that you can see all of the beautiful detail right there. There you are. What is the name of the cashmere in the shawl? It is Yarn Tellier. So Yarn Tellier cashmere lace is what we have made that in. So, or Maureen did. And then the other one is Fibre Company Meadow, and that much bigger. Whoops. Oh my goodness me. Size of it. Yeah. 2 different knitters, 2 different yarns, same pattern. And that's why we do tension squares. Now let me see. Any idea? Okay, somebody was looking for more colors of Opus. Give me 2 seconds. Newly dyed colors on Tara. Kelly, we've got a picture going to you. You were asking about those, but definitely we can sort that straight out for you after this. So there are 3 new colors that have been dyed on Tara, and we'll get them listed as soon as possible. Best cast on for the Kama Rose blanket, Debbie. Is that the beginner blanket or the loops blanket? Actually, they're more or less the same design. I would use cable cast on. Cable cast on is the cast on that I use for most things. You want a nice flexible cast on so that you can block it and stretch it out. And I would make sure that you do a loose cast off as well. There's nothing worse than having a lovely thing that's supposed to be a rectangle and it sort of squeaks in at either end. So just err on the side of a loose cast on. Use the larger needle and do a thing called cable cast on, which there's loads of online video tutorials for, and a loose cast off, sometimes just going up even 2 or 3 needle sizes is good. So I know they recommend kind of 1 full size up. I'd even go up again if you had that needle. Please show the new, okay. Any idea when Peach Marguerite is returning on Poolbeg? If you want to drop us a message, Claudia, about how many you need, we'll get it in the dye schedule. She's quite busy at the moment, but it could be a couple of weeks, but we can do that for you if you have a particular need. The name of the cashmere. You have a sister? Okay, Gwen Zero. I have a sister that pretty much only wears black and grey, but I'd love to knit her a sparkly hat and mittens for Christmas. It is ages away, but there's no harm to plan. So she says, I know that's ages away, but could you show me something that would work in a DK weight? I would be saying, I mean, you can make any of our DKs sparkly by adding in the Stellaris yarn. You could knit with some nice blacks and greys in the Opus yarn. You could throw a bit of the sparkle into that. There's a black sparkle, and yeah, there's kind of another mid grey or the stone grey. So that you could definitely work with those. I would say something fleecy like that. We also have the Kama Rose. It's called Manestrale, Maneastrale, and that's a glittery version of this kind of alpaca fluff. So even holding 2 strands of that together by itself will give you something light and sparkly and very, very warm for Christmas. So that'll be 2 things that I'd recommend. Show us the shape of your sweater. Okay, Miriam, I'm going to show you the picture of it laid out flat after this because it makes no sense. But it's a big bias-y. Let's stand further back. Like that. It's a giant tube that's knitted this way with strategic holes and cuffs. But I will show you a little bit more about that afterwards. And you just have to make sure you're following our Instagram stories for things like that, where I'll pop them up in the side. Aisling, will you remind me to do that afterwards? Could you do a twirl in your jumper? Okay. Here you go. Twirl. That's brilliant. You enjoying the sessions? Oops, I don't need to type anything. Now. Yes, the beginner one, yeah. And the conch versus... Oh, wait, hang on. Losing questions here. That's great. Helena, thank you. Beginner one. The conch versus Sir Davos. Sorry, Nancy, you were wondering. We have conch for you. 1 second. Versus Sir Davos. I can't find the Sir Davos now. Go missing thing. This is the conch on Poolbeg, by the way, just in case you wanted a little bit closer up on that, Nancy. But I can't find the Sir Davos just right now. It might be away in a box. Sorry about that, but I can put a side-by-side picture for you afterwards as well. Love that shawl. The shawl is winter on my mind, yes. And do we have a good stock of Yarntelli cashmere lace? We do in some colours, less so in others. I can probably get a restock, I hope. I know Louisa, Louisa Harding is behind Yarntelli Yarns, and she was waiting on some more to come through, but I can check that out for any recommendations for Darren and the shawl in body. Darren, we just sent Poolbeg out to Jenny there, Jenny O'Neill. So Poolbeg Sport, I think it was, that went out for that. Are you looking for, sorry Claudia, are you looking for a more summery yarn or something more wintry? If you can let me know. Got a few more minutes. How many skeins of Tara for my sweater, Kelly? I ended up going into the third. So I made the second size and I just went into the third. But thank you. Oh, thanks, Jenny. She's using the 10 His Poolbeg Sport. I actually ended up getting a little bit of Aisling's, the end of some Tara and single malt that she had used for a project. So we're very matchy today. Aisling is wearing her beautiful love note in Tara, single malt and Manastrale held together. I have some pictures I'm going to share of that as well. Lovely. Yeah, I think Poolbeg would be a beautiful option for the Darren tee. It's just a lovely bouncy finish. And sorry, it's a bit far away at the moment. Okay, Helena, I'll see you. Helena has to go. You want to make one for each season. Okay, so Claudia's wondering, so there's this beautiful kind of, what do they call it? It's like a base pattern, like the kind of mother-father recipe for a couple of other variations in this beautiful book called Embody by Jacqueline Cieslak. And then there's a template sewing pattern as well. So it's like a capsule collection wardrobe. Is there a Darren cardigan, or is this, I really have to get looking into this a little bit more. But it's a beautiful cropped version with short sleeves and a lovely neckline, and it's beautifully. So that actually is Poolbeg Sport there, actually, just because I saw that question come up. So it is, yeah, a lovely design. So it uses a sport weight. Yeah, it's a jumper, but it can be made into a cardigan. Yeah, it was that sort of a template, right? So you could use also, just because it happens to be handy here, the Belmonte if you wanted a more summery version. So this is, I think we have this listed as DK on the website, but it's one of those ones that can be knit at a couple of different on a couple of different needle sizes. They say between 3.5 and 4.5. So that would be actually really gorgeous because it's a 50% cotton and 50% merino. That would work beautifully for your summery version. So would a lino that I have thrown away. Yes, I think that would be fantastic in that design, actually. Just making sure. Yeah, 3 to 3.5. So you might have it a little bit more lightweight and a little bit more, not see-through, but airy like this is here. So So there's a tee, a cardigan, a jumper, and a vest. Yes, I can tell you're obsessed, Jen, but I don't blame you. It's such a beautiful publication. So there's, yeah, you can use any of those. That's Rosarius 4, Belmonte, and BC Garn Alino, which is just up on the website now. Even more wintry, you could use this Amelia as well. Not sure what your colour preferences are, but that would be beautiful with, if you were making the tunicky, so linen-y dresses, a lovely charcoal linen with that on top. I love it. I love it. Okay, brilliant. Lots of love for Embody. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay. Right, I think I will take, what colour is this? It is colour 10. Colour 10 in Samilia. It's got that the kind of lovely grey tones underneath and stuff. That's going to work really nicely. Right, I'm going to just do Catherine's question because we're going to run out of time. You're looking for a really soft yarn in the Banrian in green and you think Darnie is too itchy for you. So, how green are we talking? Are we going super green? Or just because... And she's back. Okay. So there's, you could do, our Banrian uses Tara 4-ply, but you could also use Fade Street 4-ply really, really nicely in that. So this is a Kerr in Fade Street. It's looking a little glowy there, but it's that sort of green. And then I have some Trench here as an example. Yeah, love Trench too. But there's also one of the new colours on Tara. It's not a new colour to the range, but Jenny has recently dyed Emerald Isle on Tara, and I think those colours, I'm like looking out the window at Aisling to see have they gone up on the website yet, but they will be up. So take a look. There's going to be a few more greeny blue toned shades in the Tara range on the website very shortly. Oh, she's got a thumbs up. Yes, thumbs up. So I hope that helps. I have a sneaking suspicion that I've missed one or two questions. Somebody wanted more colours in Opus, isn't that right? If I get cut off, it's been lovely talking to you. Brighter shades. Oops. I'll pick 3. Okay. So there we go. There's a few more lovely bright shades in Opus yarn, and that will work really nicely. Oh, now I want to make a cowl in that. Look at those. Gorgeous. So that is colour 2, colour 3. Go on, you're going to be colour 4, aren't you? Colour 2, 3, and 4. Right there. Fantastic. Lovely. Okay. So after this, we have a collection. So if you go to the link in bio, anything that I've mentioned should show up in that collection to make it really easy for you to find the stuff. It has been absolutely great. Will you get to see Aisling's Love Note jumper? You will, because I'm going to share those pictures very shortly. And then check in with us. We should be here next week for same bat time, same bat channel. And anything you need, send us a message in the meantime. It's been lots of fun chatting to you. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.